Beautiful.
Hello, lovers of the world. This is Cinta speaking. I love Agatha Christie. I love Agatha Christie down. I recently took inventory of my bookshelf and reorganized. And as you can see, the top shelf of my book is cleared out. And that is because that is where my Agatha Christie collection resides. And so I thought, since I finally wrote down everything that I have that is Agatha Christie related, that I'm going to go show it off. Why not? I'm going to start off with the books, and I debated on what order I was going to show them off in. And I've settled on going by the decade that the cover was produced in, so that we can kind of see a clear progression of the styles of each time period that it was released in. And also, it helps now that I've got my inventory in front of me. This might not be in publication order in regarding to the books, but this is based off of what decade or what year each book was produced in. So without further ado, let's make a start. I've got Murder in the Links. This is the facsimile copy produced in 2007, but the cover itself is from 1923. It's pretty good. I really like these very vintage type of styles. Produced by the Bodley Head. This was her first publishing contract before she moved on to a different one. Around this time, she was still kind of writing spy thriller adjacent stories. Then I've got another facsimile copy. This is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Very nice. This one is not covered with clear plastic, but it's in absolutely perfect condition. Murder of Roger Ackroyd was originally published in 1926. This was reprinted in 2011 as a facsimile cover. Okay, the story for this is that I got this from my high school library. They were doing a cleaning out of books that I guess were not used enough in rotation, so they were giving them out. It's free, a book, a table out in the front, and you could just pick them up. I was interested in Agatha Christie, but I haven't read a lot of her stories yet. This one I picked up and I really love this. I don't know if you can see it. It's the Seven Dials mystery. At the time that I picked this up from the library, when it was being given out for free, the book cover was already in complete tatters. And at the time, I guess my teenage brain didn't really care about preserving anything just yet. So I thought it would just be easier if I threw the cover away, because every time I read the book, it was really inconvenient. The cover was in the way. I just decided to throw it away. And I'm really bummed. Obviously, I should have tried to preserve it, but it's okay. It adds a little bit of charm. Honestly, on its own, it's pretty nice. Still in really good condition. I really love this. I have a very vivid memory of reading this for the first time and just being so shook and flabbergasted. Of course, there's the Netflix TV show out right now, but I refuse to acknowledge that it exists. Still really like it even now, but this was definitely the first book, oddly enough, that really invigorated my love and respect for Agatha Christie, because I think this was not really a well-known story at the time. Everybody knew about Murder on the Orient Express, and then there were none. But I think the fact that, oh, this is a not well-known Christie book, and it still wowed me so much. I was like, whoa, this diva is really something fierce. The Seven Dials Mystery was originally published in 1929, but reproduced in 2010. Moving on to the next one, I've got Murder in the Vicarage, another facsimile copy. Beautiful state, absolutely gorgina. The Murder at the Vicarage was originally published in 1930. This was produced in 2011, same time as The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. The hardcover itself is actually very similar to the Seven Dials Mystery. And then I've got the ABC Murders. This one has a clear film. It was already covered by the time I got to it. So the ABC Murders was originally published in 1936. This edition was reprinted in 1956. But it's still the original cover as far as I'm aware. And this has to be one of my favorite. I mean, I love my collection, but this is very special to me. This is the Death on the Nile facsimile cover, originally published in 1936. This was reprinted in 2011 by HarperCollins. Great condition. When I tell you the joy and glee that I felt when I saw this, I was walking down the street and I was passing by my favorite secondhand bookstore. All of these, by the way, are all secondhand. None of them, except for a very select few, were bought firsthand. These were all secondhand buys, which makes them all the more special to me. Complete Destiny, Complete Serendipity. I was walking down the street, passed by the window, and boom, this motherfucker was just like in the window, and I was so gagged. I was like, holy shit. Like, I was so happy to take this home. I love this. Is my favorite book of all time, and you will see in the rest of my collection, because this is not the only Death on an cover copy I have. I love this fucking book so bad. So those are all of the kind of classic facsimile covers. Now we're gonna move on to the 1960s. So I have got A Murder is Announced. This was originally published, I feel like I should know this, in the 1950s. But this cover itself is 1963. Very vintage. I really like this style myself. It kind of sticks out compared to the rest of my collection. But I love this like kind of painterly, illustrative, very spooky, but very beautiful image that they were going for. I really like it. And then this was a gift. I haven't read this, getting a lot of like mixed reviews of it. This is at Bertram's Hotel. This was a gift from a friend. This was originally published, reprinted in 1965. So I guess you can kind of see like a vibe. It's kind of pulpy, this one, I guess, very dramatic. Like, I'm pretty sure this doesn't happen in the book. But I haven't read it yet, so let me know if that actually does happen in the book. But I like it. Hardcover, very nice, very slay. Okay, now we're gonna get into my favorite eras of Agatha Christie books. I'm just gonna like show them off like in no particular order, because we're about to enter the 1970s. So they all mass reprinted everything, and they had the genius idea of having one person kind of design that entire line, and they picked obviously the best person to do it, because I am obsessed with his style. I'm talking, of course, of Tom Adams. Like, he is probably, because of how consistently he was used for a specific decade of Agatha Christie reprinted novels, I think it's fair to say that like he is the most well-known of, like, aside from the originals, these covers to me are so perfect. Anyway, again, no order. I can't be bothered. The big four, I'm a bit this fucking book, man, what to say, just such a random ass collection of short stories, but I really like this. It's very ominous. It really captures that sense of like, ooh, but you know, he did a good job of conveying what is in the book. Not to say that I condone or, you know, what's in here, but you get what I mean. So another Death in the Dial, baby. So you can say, so this is in a clear plastic film, and it'll stay that way. So the story with this is that I bought this in Bristol. I brought this in Bristol. It was such a beautiful, oh my god, I could have spent forever there. Obviously they had way more Agatha Christie books there because it's England, but yeah, I really love this, and I think it's just a bit damaged, so I'm not taking any chances. But I just love, I think I just really like the concept of like an object, and then that enticing the reader of like, oh, I wonder how this object fits into the story. So I really like it. I've got 13 Problems. This one I bought at a secondhand bookstore called Hard to Find Books. I'm gonna link it in the description. I love going there. They always have great selection. And then I've got 3-Act Tragedy. So the interesting thing about this is that this was actually printed. This cover itself was printed in 1980s, but obviously like this is still from that line. So they were still kind of producing these covers way up to the 1980s. But as we get into the collection I have from the 1980s, you'll see the very distinct change in, you know, I bought this in a secondhand bookstore in Oxford. I've got Hercule Poirot's Christmas. This is the most recent addition to my collection. I bought this in Geelong. So jazzed, so good, perfect. Peril at N House. I can't even remember where I got this from. I've already completely forgot. Cards on the Table. Another thing that I bought in Oxford. Another secondhand bookstore find. They don't know how good they have it there, man. I'm so jealous of them. Death Comes as the End. I just so random to have this. But yeah, beautiful cover, so good. After the Funeral. No idea where I got this from, but doesn't it look super slay? Doesn't it look super slay? Yes. And lastly, from the 1970s, I've got Murder in Mesopotamia. I love this book. This is one of my favorite Agatha Christie books ever. Personal favorite. I don't care how unlikely it is. I think I'm just so enamored with the characters. Like this is you're not reading this for the plot, bro. I mean, maybe you are. You're reading this for the characters. Like these people are crazy and it's so good, so entertaining. I love this so much. I have a bunch of random 1970s printed stuff that don't really fit in a particular place. So I have The Secret Adversary. I haven't read this yet. I'm not really a big fan of Agatha Christie's like thriller book, but this is a really nice cover, no? I like it. But this is from the Triad Grafton book. This was 1976. I guess it wasn't just, Fontana who had a monopoly on the Agatha Christie reprints. We've got the Agatha Christie autobiography. Super jazzed about this one. So excited to read this eventually. But this is from the... I see. My bad. This was originally printed in 1977, but this edition is 1988. So I made a mistake. But pretty nice. Pretty nice. Then I've got The Moving Finger in the Green Penguin books. I only know about the orange ones, but I like it. So I'm open to buying another one that has a nicer cover than this one. But I have Curtain. This was in 1977, but I'm not really a big fan of the cover. It's kind of boring, but I guess the point is that you know what you're signing up for. Like, okay, it's Agatha Christie's very last Hercule Poirot book, so it's very utilitarian. I like it when the book covers are more decorative. This is kind of funny because on literally any other scenario, I would absolutely hate a book that has the movie adaptation poster as the cover. However, but I do like all of the adaptations, so I think that colors, because if you were to give me a copy of Death on the Nile with the 2022 film adaptation with Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer, I would spit in your face. Like, do not talk to me about that movie. But these ones, yes. So I've got Death on the Nile again, guys. Y'all already know what's going on. Not only do I love this book, but I love this movie. I just like it a lot. Mia Farrow as Jacqueline is incredible. Like, she really, wow. Like, amazing book, amazing movie. Just love it. So that's why I got this in Bath when I was in England last year. Absolute treasure. No notes. Beautiful. And then I have another copy of Death on the Nile. But this time it's a different cover, guys. It's a different cover. It's different. I just love this illustrative style. We should bring it back. It's really nice. I like it. And then I've got Evil Under the Sun with Peter Ustinov once more. I actually really like how silly this movie is. I know that it's very different to the actual Evil Under the Sun, but they're just so charming. You've got Maggie Smith and all the other... Jane Birkin. The concept of Jane Birkin in both of these movies is so funny to me. So that's all of the 1970s. We're gonna move on to the 1980s and onwards. So I don't have as many of the 1980s stuff here, actually. I only have 3. But you can already clearly tell the direction that they were going for because... Oh, sorry. I missed one. My suspicion, and I feel like it's actually not a suspicion at all, it's a fact. But around about this time, I'm pretty sure Stephen King was becoming a big deal, because tell me why they used his font on Agatha Christie's book cover. So this is Endless Night. I haven't read this myself. I like the cover. I don't know how I feel about how her name takes up half of the thing, but I understand that that's probably just like part of the... At this time, her name was more important than you judge a book by the cover, therefore the author's name has to be like half of the cover. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, this is so Stephen King style, like, influence to me. So I understand like why the next couple of books I'm about to show you has that same ominous feeling, because these are so spooky. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this one to me like terrifies me. I'm like, why? The pig is so scary. It makes you feel like it's gonna be more of a horror story than it actually is. But tell me, like, I think everything at the time was like ooky spooky. So this is just so... It just freaks me out. I don't like looking at this. So yeah, this was published in 1981. And then I've got Murder is Easy. So I think this one I understand why this is spooky vibes, because more suspenseful, I think, than Five Little Pigs. The concept of witches and the culprit being who they are. It is a lot more, the vibes is just more ominous. I get why this is here. Do I like this book? Not really. I think it's because I keep wanting it to be a detective story, but this is very strictly a mystery story, not a detective one. You know what I mean? Like you go there to kind of go through the motions as the main character. I tried watching a TV show and I felt like they really fumbled the bag. I don't know why. It just felt totally off to me, but I guess like my expectations for Agatha Christie is like very strictly I want this to be a detective story. Poirot gathers clues and like the reveal. But this one is, they almost feel like the characters are in a torture chamber of some kind. And I feel like I have just seen better executions of that feeling in other Agatha Christie book compared to this one. So anyway, and then last of the 1980s reprints, The Mysterious Mr. Quinn. I fucking love this book. I love Mr. Satterthwaite. I'm so flabbergasted the first time I read this. I was like so gagged. When I read this, I didn't think that I had any more Agatha Christie things to be wowed by. I thought by then I had read everything that I could have possibly been interested in regards to Agatha Christie. And I was so wrong. This is so incredible. I have no idea why nobody has thought to adapt it. I can see why. It's tricky and nobody seems to be up for it. This would make like a really great mini series or something like that, but just like, this is so good. Now, do I like the cover? Well, sort of, kinda. It's spooky. It fits in with the rest of the styles of the 1980s, but I don't know if I love it, but I definitely like it. Honestly, probably top 5 or top 10 Agatha Christie book. So that's done with the 1980s. We're gonna move on to the 1990s, and that's gonna be very short because I only have 2 books from 1990. And it's these guys. I've got The Hollow, and I've got The Pale Horse. Now, I don't like The Pale Horse very much. I don't like The Pale Horse. I think it's the same thing with Murder is Easy, where I very much wanted a straightforward detective story, but this is more like a mystery. Like, yeah, like these are cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. There's a spookiness to them that if I had known, then maybe my expectations going into them would have been different. I could see myself liking them if I just allow myself to like spooky things more, but I don't know. So these two are from the Christie collection from the 1990s. Very much so part of the same collection. And if you open up the book, not that one, and if you open up this book, you can see all of the ones that you can collect from this. Now, I don't know how I feel about this kind of cover style. I just don't like how her name takes up half of the cover, when I feel like I just want to see the picture more. But I guess like if you're looking for a book to read, like this is like very easy to spot that, and the reader is like, oh, I wonder how these objects fit into the story. But yeah, it's still better than the 2000s. Let me tell you, I'm gonna show you the 2000s. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the early 2000s. Like anything from 2000 to 2010, I feel like kind of just suck. I've probably said this so many times. I don't like it when her name is half of the cover. But the thing with the others is that at the very least, the illustrative parts kind of make up for it. But I just don't like. These are called the signature editions, where they blew up her signature, and that's kind of how you can tell it. This is my first copy of Death on the Nile. This is my first ever time reading it. I've tabbed my favorite parts, and I'm honestly keeping this because of that. But otherwise, I don't like this. I don't like anything from this collection. I just don't like graphic design, digital. It's even worse. I hate this so bad. Funnily enough, this is the only Agatha Christie book that I've read that is firsthand. I bought this at the warehouse. I don't like how colorful it is. I don't like this like skull. I don't like it. I only bought this so that I can say that, oh, I have a copy of the first book and the last book of Hercule Poirot. I've got plays, bitches. I've got plays. So I've got Witness for the Prosecution and Selected Plays. I saw Witness for Prosecution when I was in London last year. It was very good. I liked it a lot. It was very enjoyable. So I also watched The Mousetrap. I'll get to that in a second. But okay, this is how much of a Christie head I am. I had read the script for The Mousetrap because at the time I thought there was no way I was ever going to be able to see The Mousetrap in person. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just read it so that I know what's happening. I watched The Mousetrap and I was like, wow, I was more impressed by the fact that I was in that specific theater because it was so cool. Anyway, you can watch my vlog about it. And then I also booked tickets to see Witness for the Prosecution. And I was so gagged. Again, it was a story I have never read before or seen. And for all my Christie heads out there, this isn't really an ending that she's used in other stories before, which is something that she does a lot of. But like, that's why I was so gagged. I didn't see it coming at all. So grateful that I have the script for this now. And this also has the play versions of Towards Zero. We've got Verdict and Go Back for Murder. I knew it. So Verdict is the play name of Five Little Pigs. So I don't know if Verdict is super different to how Five Little Pigs ends or what the plot of that is. So grateful, so happy, very nice. And then I also have Appointment with Death and Other Plays. So Appointment with Death is one of my favorite books of like top 2 Agatha Christie books forever. And the ending for Appointment with Death, the play, is different to the book. So I'm really grateful I have this. Bought this at an op shop somewhere in Devonport in my city. So what's funny about this book is that it very clearly says that there's 4 acclaimed plays, but there's only 3 in here. They have Appointment with Death, The Hollow, and then there were none. The play versions of all those ones. And I do like how they look they're clearly siblings. Then continuing on with plays. So we've got these guys, recent additions to my collection. I bought these in a secondhand bookstore in Geelong, same place that I bought Hercule Poirot's Christmas. So these were originally plays, right? Spider's Web and Black Coffee. Then Charles Osborne, who wrote her biography, I'll show you in a second, turned them into novels. Now the funny thing with me and Black Coffee is that I had actually went and read the script again online. So I knew what was happening, but I kind of forgot a little bit of the ending. So I'm kind of intrigued to read this now. Very excited. And then I've got Spider's Web. No idea what this is about. It's more psychological thriller vibes, I believe. But I do like that they're kind of siblings, even though I don't really love the cover. I think, again, I'm just happy that I have copies of these stories. Unlike the Agatha Christie novels, which are more accessible, and there's always, the estate is never not going to reprint them. I think these nicher Agatha Christie media is a little bit more harder to find. That's why I'm happy that I've got the plays. We are close to finishing my Agatha Christie book collection, but never fear, I have way more. But now it's time for the Agatha Christie Crime Collection. Yes. So these are 3 books in one. So I have complicated feelings about these because they are very utilitarian in the sense that, I want to read Appointment with Death. I can read Appointment with Death anytime I want. But as a collector, I'd rather have like the individual copies with the cover that I want them to have. I mean, I love buying multiple copies of the same book. This has 450 from Paddington, Lord Edgware Dies, and Murder in Mesopotamia. Now, I am not really a big fan of 450 from Paddington, but I do love these 2 books, Lord Edgware Dies and Murder in Mesopotamia. This one has Appointment with Death, Crooked House, and Side Cypress. Now, Side Cypress, I don't know how unpopular or popular this opinion is, but that's a personal favorite of mine. It's in the same way that it's not a detective fiction book. It's a mystery, but it's more so character focused. It's a very internal to our protagonist. And for some reason, I was just captivated by it. So I really like Sad Cypress. Crooked House, I remember reading as a teenager and not being really impressed by it. But I think it's because I was just not reading it I was reading it to read it, not to be entertained, if that makes sense. So I'm looking forward to reading it again and see how I feel. Especially because I did watch I can't remember who directed it, but the most recent adaptation of this book, it was like a mini. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was a pretty well done. It may or may not be accurate to the book, but I felt like it kept the spirit of it as well as like adapting to current tastes of murder mystery audiences. So I thought it was well done. Don't really want to have these because they do take up a lot of space, especially since what I really want is like the individual books themselves. And then we've got Charles Osborne's biography of Agatha Christie. And as you can see, If this style looks familiar to you, that's because it is illustrated by the great Tom Adams once again. Yes! Actually, what happened to this, I'm sure you can tell, is they have taken aspects of past Agatha Christie books that Tom Adams had already illustrated for and just like collaged it together. Like you can tell that this is the bee from Death in the Clouds. This is from Sleeping Murder. Very fitting for it to be collaged in this manner for her autobiography. For her biography. So it's kind of, it'll be so interesting to read this alongside the, where's it gone now? Yo, double feature. So excited to see how this goes. That's all of the Agatha Christie books I have. Honorable mention is the Sophie Hannah continuation, The Mystery of Three Quarters. I don't like Sophie Hannah's Agatha Christie stories. I don't really like them. I read 2 of her books. I've read The Monogram Murders and I've forgotten what the other one is called. And it was just not good. I just didn't enjoy them. But I'm going to unhaul this the minute I finish reading, procrastinating reading this because I just feel like I'm not going to enjoy it. And actually, as I was researching the covers for all of these books, this is how I found out that there's going to be a new Miss Marple novel written by Lucy Foley. Right. You know, whatever. Anyway, so that's all of the Agatha Christie books I have. We're going to move on to the non Agatha Christie books. I did mention this earlier, but I went to see The Mousetrap and I bought myself this little pin. So cute. Yes, you guys can watch the vlog I made about it, but I'm so obsessed with this pin. It is so cute. It is so cute. It's still obviously in its, I'm not taking it out. It's so cute. Okay, let's start off with my DVDs, of which I have 2, or technically 6. I have the Agatha Christie Hour. This has The Magnolia Blossom and The Case of the Discontented Soldier. I have no idea where the Magnolia Blossom is from, but the Case of the Discontented Soldier is a Parker Pine story. And the Agatha Christie Hour is a collection of 10-hour-long dramas based on short stories by the most popular novelist in history. Okay, so I haven't seen these before. I saw this at my local record store at half off, and I was like, you're coming home with me. Because nobody's gonna love you the way I love you. But I will watch these eventually. But I'm just happy that I have them. I don't like this cover though. What the so ugly. What were we thinking during the early 2000s? And then I've got the Agatha Christie collection. This has The Mirror Cracked, Death on the Nile with Peter Ustinov, The Murder on the Orient Express with Albert Finn, and Endless Night, which I haven't read yet and I haven't seen before, so that's exciting. This was a birthday gift from my friends. I'm so grateful to them. To be loved is to be known. And now I've got some audiobook. For some reason, I'm obsessed with cassette tape. I do have a cassette tape player. Do I use it often? Not as much as I should, given that I have so many cassette tapes. But I do have it. I've got Murder of Roger Ackroyd, narrated by Nigel Anthony. So I bought this in England at an op shop called Dorothy House. Still have the sticker just so that I remember always where I got it from. I'm telling you, the British people don't know how good they have it with the Agatha Christie memorabilia. And then I've got After the Funeral, read by Hugh Fraser. Love him. Slay. Oh, so I got this in an op shop in Taunton. Love. I still have the receipt just so that I remember where I got it from. I've got The Blue Geranium and Other Stories, narrated by Joan Hickson. I guess in general, I'm not really a Miss Marple fan. The other stories being The Four Suspects, The Companion, and A Christmas Tragedy. I know I just said I'm not a big Miss Marple fan, but I do have the complete BBC radio collection of her stories. I have them all here. Yes, I do. Have I listened to them on the cassette tape? No. Do I have them anyway? Yes. I got this at an op shop. For some reason, it didn't click to me that they were cassette tape. I thought they were audiobooks and CD. Right. And I didn't have a cassette tape player at the time. But after this, I was like, okay, I probably should get one because I keep accumulating them. And now finally, we've got my CDs. These were both from a bookstore in Wellington. So grateful to have them because I'm literally the only one who gives a fuck about these. So do not throw your Agatha Christie things away. Let me see them first and see if I want them. I got Hercule Poirot's Christmas. Yes! So this is a BBC radio adaptation. And then Murder in Mesopotamia. Yes, I love this book so much. That's it, guys. That's my Agatha Christie crime collection. Now I'm gonna go put everything back in my bookshelf. There it is. Now the thing is, there is more stuff that I'm gonna put in front of it because I, for some reason, have so many Dorothy L. Sayers and Niall Marsh books. Have I read any of them? No. I think it's just a collector in me that seeks them out, and for some reason, I just have so many of them. So I'm gonna do another quick magic and here we are. Anyway, thank you so much for sitting through this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I had a good time talking about my Agatha Christie collection. And you know what? It's gonna get bigger eventually. Ah! Okay, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like, subscribe, follow me on other social media. Can't wait to share my love with you again next time. See you soon.